What? You know, I was thinking about my humor today, and then I got haymakered by one Mike St. Green. I don't even know if I want to ask, Mike, how you doing, and what's with the boxing gloves?
Well, first of all, it's been a compelling and competitive week of SFL action, and I couldn't wait to get on here and talk about it. But hey, I hadn't been in a real good fight in a long time, and hey, I don't even need these gloves tonight, Cam, because the gloves are off, and this is going to be a backyard bad knuckle brawl, Mexico City, and I can't wait to see what happens later on tonight.
Man, you have officially crossed into dad joke territory with the gloves are off literally comment. What's going on with you? And yes, I'm noticing that I'm quite high, folks, so we're going to get our audio levels adjusted. But what's the deal, Mike?
Man, I wait all week to come up with some of the stuff, some of my best stuff, and you don't seem to appreciate it.
Eddie said that was terrible. So I don't know what to tell you, Mike. I mean, look, I appreciate your originality every week. You always bring fun to the table.
I'm here for the people, Cam. What can I tell you?
Yeah. Well, we both are, and why not? After the week we had, week 12, 3 weeks left in the regular season, and it's coming down to the wire. This thing is getting juicy, Mike. And I'm just surprised at kind of where we sit. At this point of the season, it seems like we have a different number one team every week, and this week was no different.
That's a lot of parity in this league right now, Cam, which it typically is, but it's kind of seemed like that parity arrow has kind of come back towards center, and it's a lot of teams competing for these spots at the top and really at the bottom of the playoff picture right now. And 6-6 all of a sudden is not out of the question. 6-6 has been out of the picture for the past couple of seasons, but a 6-loss team they're not eliminated right now.
Yeah, that middle of the pack did not have a good week this week, Mike. There was a lot of teams that we thought may have entered the fold, did not. We'll get to them here in a little bit, in a little while. But first, we got to start, obviously, in Nashville, where the Nashville Tempo took on the Canton Classics. And this one was a stunner. Up 7-0 Nashville. Deep ball, switch thumper to Kenny Hendricks, makes the play, first and goal inside the 10-yard line. That was an absolutely beautiful dime there from switch thumper on 3rd and goal, up 7-0. This was a big play. Smackdown there for Canton on the line. Jabril Kurse with the sack. That kept it 10-0. But Canton kept shooting themselves in their foot offensively. This is a red zone pick. Bentley Bonner takes it back. Scar Patterson lights him up. Then here again in Nashville territory in the second quarter, Scar Patterson throws yet another pick. J. Mark coming out of nowhere. I mean, this was the theme all night, Mike. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really kind of surprising to see Canton come out with this game plan. Cam, it was probably the most passes that the quarterback has thrown in any particular game all season long. I'm pretty sure it was. That's probably was 4 or 5 games worth of passes that he threw in this game.
Yeah, and Patterson throws off the mark there to Talon Steele. Had a chance to hit him on the sideline, threw it behind him right in the hands of Chris Stack, his second pick, and then Jimmy Foster with a touchdown. You know, Nashville played their first game without cornerback Tanner Hendricks, and you wouldn't have even noticed their defense played so well. Here's Patterson in the red zone again, throws another pick. The sheer amount of chances that Canton had to come back in this game, and they still couldn't make it happen because this Nashville defense was just so darn good.
And that secondary was all over the receivers of Canton in this game. 6 interceptions total, and Chris Stack had a big game as well with a couple of his own.
Talon Steele finally got a touchdown on the board, but then Bentley Bonner had an interception earlier, makes the play to recover the onside kick, and Nashville gets the win 17-10, and they pull the upset. This is an expansion team sort of having their moment in the sun in their first season. They improved to 6-4, and you know, it wasn't the prettiest game, Mike. I mean, they did only win 17-10 with forcing 6 turnovers. I mean, that's not necessarily great, but when you're playing a team like Canton, whatever works, whatever gets it done, whatever gets that W.
And look, Canton, do not listen to Mike St. Green. I challenged you last week to say what would that offense look like if they really had to pass the ball? Would they be able to pull through? And it looks like you challenged my question to that answer. And Nashville definitely answered that question for all of us. Canton, you need to get back to running the ball. That's what you do best. Your running game was non-existent, and the tempo fully took advantage of it, and you came out on the losing side of that.
Logan Lee was really quiet in this ball game. They of course they were trailing much of the game. Nashville kind of jumped out on them early, but Canton's now in a little bit of a pickle here because they've lost first place. We'll tell you who now is in first place after this, but Canton is ahead of Florida. They beat Florida, but Florida, in any kind of tiebreaker scenario, the strength of victory for Florida is outstanding. They were on a bye. You got Mexico City playing tonight, who's got 2 losses, Minnesota with 2 losses, Arizona with 2 losses. I mean, Canton was in sole possession of first place. Now they're in a muck. The good news, though, Mike, is they got Queen City next week, so it should be a get-right game for them.
Yeah, that's definitely a good get right game. Queen City that continue to struggle and with no light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, for them in sight. So next week that will be an interesting game. Maybe Queen City can step up and make some things happen, but the likelihood of that is slim to none. That'll definitely be a get right opportunity for the Canton Classics.
Let us know if our audio levels are a little bit more even while Ashley Jackson catches up with Nashville's Jay Balmer on this week's first edition of PGI.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with offensive coordinator and fullback, as well as a good friend of mine, over from the Nashville Tempo, Mr. Jay Balmer, coming off a dominant performance over the Canton Classics. How are you, sir?
I am doing wonderful. I am wonderful. Take these specs off, put it on these shades. Oh, yeah. Everything is wonderful.
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're doing? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man, because that was a shining performance. You definitely need the shades, especially from the defense. You had 6 takeaways. 4 of them occurred in the first half of the game. You guys did not even let them score, did not let Canton score until like 31 minutes left in the third quarter. And that was only a field goal. They had a chance, but stifled. And again, they scored when it was I think it was 1:21 left. They scored it down with a chance to come back if they would have collected the onside kick, but they didn't. So go through this game in your mind, and what were some key performances for you that just knew that you guys had it solidified?
I'm going to say this. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and tip my hat to James Walters, our defense coordinator. Thank you very much for having this defense on point tonight. All right. I think like Jay Mart had like 2 interceptions. Tigger Clay had 2. Tigger Clay had 1. Chris Stock has 2. Shoot, a lot of people had interceptions last night. So perfect game, perfect thing. Second thing, just need to fix our offense a little bit much better. That is on me. That is on me. I need to fix it a little bit much better. That way we could have at least scored a little bit more points against Canton, Try to make the score go up a little bit higher than just 17. But, 17 points is okay with me. But here's the thing. Who else made Canton score 0 points in the first half?
I don't think there's been many teams, especially over the past 2 seasons, that was able to do that. So that is definitely a nod to your defense. And you alluded to something I kind of want to touch on before I let you go. What do you think are some key points that you are going to have to focus on for the offense to be more effective for your next game?
The running game. The running game is really good. I'm going to try to step it up. passing the ball was much better than it was last time. Actually, I take that back. I need to pick that up as well. Shoot. I need to pick up this pass game a little bit much better because we only had like 117 passing yards, while Canton had 300 and something passing yards. Shoot. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. Got Louisiana coming up next. We're coming down to the bayou, man. We're coming down to your house, man.
It should be a very exciting game to watch, and if you put on the same performance, especially incorporating more of the offense, I think that would definitely be another. It has a possibility to be another dominating performance. But congratulations on your win tonight, Coach. Truly proud of you guys coming up from the SFLM and outshining. So congratulations on your win. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Oh, what the hell? What now? What now? St. Green's got the glasses on. What is this?
Yeah, they graduated from the MSG School of Cool. I just want to let you know where they got that from. So that's what happened. I couldn't let them out cool me.
I think I applied to that school, but I was rejected. What happened? I think my application got lost.
Yeah, it's still in the mail. I think I didn't receive it.
Chris Delro, $5 super chat. Number one viewer of the show this season. SFL East, more like SFL Beast. Great win, Nashville. More on the East Division race as the show goes along. Apparently you are a walking dad joke. I would tend to agree. It gets worse and worse by the week, but we love you anyway. And I love that I can see your screen in those glasses. It's like the old days.
Yeah, just like the old days, Bring back, I won't say that name.
No, we got to get out of here. We got to get to some more games. We got a full show. Carolina, Charleston, the Battle of the Corbin Cup, and it was the battle of Carolina's running game versus everyone on Charleston's roster. I mean, this was just ridiculous. The Carolina Skyhawks all over them early, 7-3. Let's fast forward to the third quarter. That pass caught by Christian Bacigalupi. And then it's Riley Quintero again in the end zone. He dominated over $150 on the day, 14-3. Charleston was not going to give it up without a fight. John Lakeman fires downfield. That pass is hauled inside the Carolina 40-yard line. But on third down and goal, Lakeman firing to the end zone and couldn't make it happen. Mike Ryan had an interception earlier in the game with a deflection there. 14-6, more Riley Quintero. He's back in the end zone, 21-6. Carolina over 200 rushing yards on the day as a team. They were just simply unstoppable. And then late, it was John Lakeman getting pulverized in the backfield. L.J. Hobbs with the sack. Then on third down and 15, Lakeman throws a pick. Davidson Joseph cleans it up. Pass intended for Doug Britton, who was extremely silent on the afternoon. And Carolina walks away with a 21-6 win. Mike, they have won 5 of their last 7, and the only 2 teams they've lost to are ahead of them in the standings, Nashville and Atlanta, 2 critical losses. But other than that, which were 1-score losses, by the way, other than that, Carolina has just been a beast, and they dropped Charleston to 6-4, their record.
I had this game circled all week, Cam, and I really wanted to pay close attention to it, which I did, and I came away from this game thoroughly impressed with Carolina Skyhawks. I think whatever has happened, whatever has shifted with this team, with this organization, I think it has happened. I think they have figured things out, and I left, watching this game when they played I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs moving forward. I think they figured some things out, and they're going to be a tough out.
So now the next test for Carolina is don't have a letdown, right? Because that's what happened against it. They got that big win over Florida, and they dropped to Atlanta, and then they had that Baltimore win, right? They're on a roll now. But they have a winnable schedule, not an easy schedule, but a winnable schedule in their last couple of games. It really does feel like their moment, but they can't let it slip away. Meanwhile, Charleston struggles offensively. They didn't seem to have that sort of diversity in their offense. We didn't see a whole lot of Iman Kopech in this game. They didn't necessarily look like themselves, and they literally didn't look like themselves wearing their Holy City alternates. But now at 6-4, this is a really tough finish for them. They still have Baltimore on their schedule, and they have Atlanta as well. This is not going to be an easy stretch for the Predators, and they're going to have to pull out at least one of these last 2 games.
And I was thinking that during the course of the game that they did not look a lot like the Charleston Predator team that we've seen all season long, and maybe the Skyhawks had a lot to do with that. But now, as you said, with the remaining schedule, they're clearly behind the 8 ball right now. They're going to have to come up with a win, possibly in one of those last couple games, to avoid what seems to be the 6-6 conundrum that we're going to probably have this season, and what it looks like we're headed. A lot of teams are going to be up late night on that playoff show that we're going to, tiebreaker show to see who's going to get in, and they may be a part of that if they can pull off a couple of wins here in the last 2 games.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, Mike, and say that Riley Quintero has had the biggest turnaround from one season to the next in SFL history. I cannot remember ever there being a player that has done what he's done in one season. I mean, his emergence as a running back in the backfield is wild to me. I mean, he's had such a good season, and after his performance, I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't looked at the leaderboards yet today, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in the top 5 in yards per game.
Yeah, and usually when a player switches positions like that, we see an adjustment, time frame where he has to get his feet under him for a season or 2, and then possibly break out. But as you mentioned, we have never seen this before, where a player switches his position and then have the type of year and impact that Riley Quintero is having right now.
We did have a couple blowouts this week. Let's touch on them quickly here. Arizona dismantled D.C. on Friday night. The Dragons look like a shell of their former self. It's like they don't know how to do anything but throw the ball to Lauren Percoco. Kevin Say, who had 150-plus yards against Denver, did almost nothing against Arizona. Was this more about Arizona riding the ship, or was it about DC is sort of a flawed candidate this season?
I think a little bit of both. I think DC is they're clearly a flawed team to a certain extent. They don't have enough weapons, I don't think, in the receiving core to compete week in and week out. But then when you add no running game, there was no running game to speak of in this game for them. It's just tough to win any games like that, especially against a team the caliber of Arizona. But Arizona had quite a bit to do with that performance as well. Ashley Jackson had an excellent game, 18 out of 21, 292 yards, a couple touchdowns. Brad Jones had a big game as well. So Arizona seemed to get things turned around and headed in the right direction.
The Louisiana Revolution hosted the Houston Cougars this week. No, I'm sorry. I got the teams that got shut out this weekend confused. They hosted the Queen City Corsairs this weekend and beat them 33-0. Your thoughts on that game and any other game you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, I'm going to touch on one game.
That's
Sam
for you, Cory.
Houston State 40, Texas State 39. I'll touch on that one.
They blew it.
But yeah, man, at least I knew my game was over once it was 3-0. You were sweating it out all game. But anyway, what game did you ask me about? You really upset me with that one. That's just low, man. I thought we were friends. But anyway, go ahead.
I told you it was going to be good. It was Louisiana Queen City 33-0. You see, I got them confused. They seem like the same game.
Yeah, that's expected. Louisiana 33, Queen City nothing. Yeah, move on.
That's it? You don't want to talk.
That's it. I have nothing else to say about it. Great game, Louisiana. This guy got under my skin. Next holiday.
That's great. We got plenty to go. Pittsburgh and Baltimore as Michael Brown finally got anyone not named Connor Weston involved. He was excellent in this game. He hits Ben Harrison for a touchdown there, and Pittsburgh on the road in Baltimore is up 7-0. Baltimore strikes back. Ivory Irvin with the touchdown, 7-7 in a tie ball game. But Michael Brown bounced right back. Devin Lloyd into the end zone again. Not a single Connor Weston piece of highlight in this thing, even though he leads the league in receiving. Michael Brown is sacked here. This was a big play on 3rd and goal late in the 3rd quarter, kept it a 1-score game, and it kept Baltimore within striking distance. And they would tie the game right here with a GP Wells run to the outside. Actually, they'd take the lead after a field goal. So 20-17, Baltimore up on Pittsburgh. 6 minutes to go. This was the game changer, Mike. Flips outside to Harrison. He gets popped, and then Elijah Warfield recovers the fumble, and Pittsburgh wasn't the same after that.
Yeah, that was tough play right there for Pittsburgh. They'd been in control of this game, or in this game, for a vast majority of it. And then on the drive right there to try to get back and take a lead or tie, and a huge fumble right there cost him.
GP Wells, look at that. I mean, that's just all heart right there, just muscling his way into the end zone for the Baltimore touchdown. And the shirtless men love it there in Maryland. 27-24, Devin Lloyd couldn't come up with it. Now, that came after a long Devin Lloyd touchdown, or Connor Weston touchdown that made it 27-24, but the fourth down attempt goes awry for Pittsburgh, and they cannot stay alive. They fall 27-24. Another heartbreaker for Pittsburgh. This was my takeaway from the game, Mike, is that for the first time this season, Pittsburgh actually looked like a team. Connor Weston has been unbelievable all season long, an Offensive Player of the Year candidate, no doubt. It's hard to win MVP when you're on a one-win team, but the rest of the team looked really good. BB Blitz, Mike Churchill, Harrison, Lloyd, Michael Brown even. I mean, they went into Baltimore, who was coming off a home loss to Carolina, and almost dealt them another home loss in back-to-back games.
And it was a great response, Cam, to the blowout loss that they had the previous week. I mean, They could have folded up the tent and said, hey, this is just not our season. We'll come back stronger next season. But that was a great response on the road against a team the caliber of Baltimore. As you mentioned, Connor Weston, man, we've been talking about him all season long, seems like on this show, 170 yards and a touchdown. Michael Brown had a big game, 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Pittsburgh is starting to figure some things out here down the stretch. Now you can probably hope to win a couple of games, use that momentum going into next season, and hopefully make some moves in free agency and possibly the draft that can get this thing turned around and get this thing moving in the right direction for the Riverhawks.
I don't think we learned too much about Baltimore in this game. They're a team that can beat anybody. We know that, and they're going to be a powerful force in the playoffs. They took care of business, but it was spicy. We're learning more and more each week about Cory Meurer's team, the owner of the Pittsburgh Riverhogs, and he sat down with Ashley Jackson this week on our second PGI segment of the evening.
All right, and welcome back to PGI, where I'm joined with a great friend of mine, Mr. Cory Meurer, head coach as well as owner. Defensive coordinator, as well as owner of Pittsburgh Riverhawks, coming off a loss 24-27. But man, did y'all give Baltimore a run for their money this game? I know you got to be proud of that performance, man.
I'm absolutely proud of that. That game, yes, we lost. Bummer. But
Right.
All things considered, us going up, it's David versus Goliath. And David damn near took it away this time. And, it just, that was almost a flawless game on our end. We led the game all the way up and through the fourth quarter, but that Baltimore surge that they always get at the fourth quarter, when they're behind, it just got the best of us. I mean, we only had one mistake during the whole game that cost us.
Wow.
But other than that, I'm proud of this team. I mean, everybody showed up. Lloyd, Weston, Harrison, Wheeler, Churchill, Blitz, Brown, everybody, Price, everybody showed up offensively and defensively. I was looking at the stats, and, I mean, we were holding Warren Meurer. We were holding him down. He was, we held him less yards than he usually averages out to get per game. We did our thing when people believed we couldn't even probably put a couple, one touchdown, let alone a few. I know a lot of people went in doubting us, and I know, to me, this is just telling everybody else, hey, you're on notice that we're no slack team. We're going to make things happen. Season 24 is right around the corner, and we're going to be there.
Indeed, incredible effort from Pittsburgh against, 5-time champion Baltimore. During the beginning of the season, excuse me, I couldn't get it out. Words are hard.
Oh, good.
During the beginning of the season, you chose to go with 2 quarterbacks, Mike Brown as well as Eric Price. So I'm wondering how difficult or how easy has it been for you to incorporate both quarterbacks from week to week?
It's been a journey, I will say that, to start with. I'll be honest, at the beginning of the season, we definitely didn't have any intention of having 2 quarterbacks. Price was our main, and then we picked up Brown just prior to the start of the season. And the biggest thing for us, and I tried to make it clear with everybody, we are an expansion franchise. We are the new kids on the block. And going from the minor league up to the pro level, that's 2 different situations. It's 2 different mindsets. It's 2 different thinking. So I made it clear. It's like, look, we're going to be doing a lot of testing on different playbooks and how this quarterback reacts with this quarterback reacts with that. And so, you've seen it. We started off mainly Price, then we mixed the 2 up. We're currently more with Brown right now. We're just trying to mix it up, try to see where we get the best results, because they're kind of 2 different builds with the quarterbacks. Just trying to get to see what we need to do moving forward. So it hasn't been extremely difficult. We're just trying to make everybody, happy, but at the same time, we want to put our best effort forward to try to, eventually win us a championship in the Burg. We want a trophy in the hog pen. And we're going to have to, it's going to take some testing and playing around to make it happen. And then this was the season to do it. And, I know we still got a few kinks here and there to work out, but come season 24, we're going to be ready. We're not going to have as many struggles as we do right now.
Indeed. And it is an interesting concept because certain player bills fit well with certain team bills. So it's going to be interesting for you to be able to gauge that. You have an entire season to kind of look back and kind of figure out, how well that worked. So looking forward to hearing more from you, Coach. But good luck to you for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Back to you, the booth.
Thank you, Ashley. Let's go to Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, where the Motor City V8s, shorthanded, took on the Denver Nightwings as Jordan Bradshaw misses that field goal. Just one of many missed opportunities for Denver in this game. Down 13-0 against the shorthanded V8s. Gene Struthers finally gets it going. Marquis Sango, excellent catch there, made it 13-7 going into the halftime break. Struthers drops to pass here, finds Jeremy Mosley after a deep Phil Koss touchdown for Motor City. Mosley gets a block, and he is out of here, 20-14, a 68-yard touchdown pitch and catch. 4 minutes to go. Struthers down just 6. This is after they forced a punt, Mike, and they had the ball in Motor City territory and got nothing out of it. Then John Martin gets this interception, once again putting the Denver Nightwings on his back seemingly every game this season. And on 3rd down and 10, Denver can't convert, and they have to end up kicking a field goal. They had this game, Mike.
Yeah, they definitely had 2 opportunities right there late in this ball game, Cam, to either tie or go ahead, and they failed on both opportunities.
And after the onside kick, Shane Kaufman is able to run the clock out perfectly, stays in bounds, and just makes the plays. And Motor City wins without their starting quarterback, King Jackson, who should be back next week. But it's just a wild victory for Motor City. And look, all the credit goes to the V8's defense because they were really fantastic against Denver, who, unfortunately, since beating Arizona, just can't seem to find the win column again.
Yeah, that running game struggled in Denver as well. Cam Bailey O'Shaughnessy really didn't do much on the ground, as you mentioned. Credit to that V8's defense, and also to help out this offense that you mentioned was shorthanded. They were shorthanded pretty much in a couple other positions as well. Christopher Dean had a huge game, well, a solid game. Let's just say 97 yards and a touchdown to help the replacement quarterback. Settle in and not have to do too much, and it was just enough to get the victory the other night.
So Motor City and Denver sort of cannibalized themselves. They both fall to 3-7. They are hanging on to some glimmer of hope that the math gods can get them into the playoffs. It is technically still possible that a 5-7 team could get in. You just never know how these things go. We had a lot of teams on the bubble this week that had big games, important games, some against some they were favored in, some they were underdogs in, trying to get a victory. But unfortunately for, all of them, it was not as easy as it might have appeared in some instances. This was no easy task for Vancouver, but they were right in this thing at Minnesota. That's where we start our fastest 3 minutes here. Vancouver to Brett Killian, 13-7. They lead Minnesota, but the next drive, Minnesota on the charge. Colin Hart with the touchdown late in the third quarter. Minnesota goes up 14-13. And then right on the, seemingly 10 seconds later, Nicholas Frossel with an interception. Vancouver just can't turn the ball over like that. If they want to be a big-time player in this year's playoffs. Deezer Powell with the touchdown makes it 21-13, and then Vancouver with one of the best plays of the week. 3rd down and 6, the shovel pass, broken tackle, Ike McBride, and the score made it 21-19. Then they went for 2, Charles, and I don't know. Pseudo Nakai in the backfield couldn't get it done.
Well, Charles will be on with you in about 15 minutes, but I'm still here. But yeah, it was a questionable play call. When I saw this happen, I was like, no, do not run the ball in that situation. So it was questionable. Then I would like to see them put that ball in there and try to get the 2 point.
Well, that was Charles' player, so it was twisting me around. Minnesota beats Vancouver 21-19. Let's go to Bossier City, where the Fort Worth Toros were taking on the Bossier City Steamers in their Lone Star throwbacks, and Dave Axis throwing it back to when he was just a youngster. Punt, return, touchdown, all the way for the score. Put Bossier City ahead 7-6. I know you like a good special teams return, Mike.
Yeah, who does he think he is? Me? I mean, but do they still want to be Lone Star, or they want to be Bossier City, Cam? They can kind of confuse me the other night.
Well, I know that Houston has some Hyena throwbacks, but I digress. Henry McGee with the touchdown makes it 13-7. Henry McGee got hurt later in the game, but gets that big score for them. He was their main target for most of the night. Marcus Dunhill to Robert Garrett Jr. with 3:35 to go. The Cowboys in the end zone, 20-13, but Bossier City comes right back. Ace Fennick to Vin Callia in the back of the end zone, and we're tied at 20 in just 1 minute, but Fort Worth put together an outstanding drive. Marcus Dunhill fires that into the Bossier City 26-yard line, and that would be enough. One more pass sets up Amelia Rose for a 21-yard field goal attempt, and that would be no problem for Miss Rose. That kick is good, and Fort Worth avoids the upset, 23-20 on a 12-play drive for 75 yards in just over 2 minutes to win that game. Chicago hosting Indianapolis as the Ramblers hope to get to 5-5, and Type Attack was just toying with this team all day, Mike.
Yeah, Type Attack, he's really come on strong the past couple of weeks. As you see him right there spinning a couple of times, making himself elusive, and gets in for the score.
Johnny Pickler, one of the best passes of the weekend to Ryan Roosevelt. We didn't have a replay in the highlight reel, but the way that route developed, that was a difficult pass. Type Attack, 17-10, 3rd and 16, Mike, with 6 minutes to go. Indy's defense, you can't give that up, 1st and goal.
Oh, no, Cam, you really can't. You have to come through right there and make a play to try to keep these guys out of scoring position.
Type Attack, another touchdown, and Chicago would hold on to get the win, 24-10. So Indianapolis falls to 4-6. Vancouver falls to 3-6. Bossier City falls to 3-6. These were all big missed opportunities for these bubble teams, and now they're up against it. And looking at all their schedules, Mike, there's really not an easy game on their schedule. It's disheartening to see these teams sort of take themselves out of it a little bit. Which team was most surprising to you that failed to sort of come to task this weekend.
Well, I know it was a tough opponent, but I will stick with Bossier City. They wore the Lone Star throwback, so we know what type of franchise. Well, it's still technically the same franchise with that Lone Star was and is. Currently, they're pretty much the same team, with some additions here or there. So they're not building from the ground up. So it's kind of surprising to see that they are right here with their backs against the wall, and they really need to come up big the next couple games to see if they even have a chance for the playoffs. They're going to be in that 6-6 mix. That's probably the best they can hope for at this point.
When I watch Vancouver, I see a good football team. I mean, Christian Brown has a positive touchdown to interception ratio. They have a terrific backfield. Mateo Bravado, Ike McBride, Pseudo Nakai. The loss of Kendra Wells hurt a little bit in their passing game. I know they also lost Mike Coverson, a lineman, over the back half of this season as well. So they're a little dinged. Wasn't the season they were hoping for, but it still shocks me that they are 3-6, Mike. They seemed primed, like maybe this was their year or this was their moment, but it wasn't to be. And Vancouver might miss the playoffs for the first time in maybe ever. We'll have to look back at that, but it's been a frustrating season for them. So that's a look at that around the league. It's time. It's time for the updated playoff picture. We get to talk about some teams we haven't talked about yet. I want to jump to Atlanta, Mike. The 8, 9, 10 seeding right now. Atlanta has a head-to-head sweep over Nashville and Carolina. Charleston's worst strength of victory. It says strength of schedule there. That's a typo. Strength of victory puts them at 11. But the fact that Atlanta has wins over Nashville and Carolina in their last couple of games, and they're squarely in that 8 spot, I think maybe the shock of the board as they actually move up a spot on their bye. What stands out to you?
Really, that bottom half of the graphic, Cam, and that's what jumps out at me. The 6 and 4s, a lot of these 6 and 4s that we're looking at, they could possibly end up 6 and 6. The 5 and 5s, the 4 and 5s that are down there that are out of the picture right now, outside looking in. They could move up to 6 and 6. I'm very intrigued once this season ends in a couple weeks, what this picture is going to look like. How many teams are we going to have at 6 and 6 vying for one of the last playoff spots? It's going to get real interesting and real testy. I think it may play itself out, obviously, over the next couple weeks with probably some teams playing one another and knocking one another off or staying in the race. But that bottom half is very intriguing to me, how that could switch up. And then if you switch to the top, all the 2 lost teams now that are in this thing, Mexico City on the outside looking in with 2 losses. A really good team is going to miss out on that bye week, and that's going to be interesting as well to see how it plays out.
I think next week's Monday Night Spectacular might be the biggest game. Back to Bragg Sports. You got to look at the numbers, man. 5 through 8 are reversed. Why are they reversed? Because that's the wild card matchups. 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, 8-9. So that's how it looks. She's got the big ones, the big giant ones. The one that says 8. That'll help. But next week, next Monday, Baltimore and DC. This game means everything. DC's got to win. It would be huge for their strength of victory, which is not that great right now. They need a resume win. If Baltimore loses that game, I mean, they fall into the pit of despair, basically, because you've got 5 other 4-loss teams, and Carolina's already beaten them, right? So Baltimore does not want to fall into wild card hell there, and DC wants to stay alive. That's going to be a monster game next Monday. But we also got to give a shout out to Arizona too. They're back in first position. But I do caution that Florida's strength of victory right now is 5-11. It is ridiculously good. And so because they were on bye, they're out of byes now. If they would be 8-2, they would be in the first place spot right now. They do have Vancouver next week, which if they beat them, Vancouver falls to 3-7. That could knock that strength of victory down a little bit for Florida. Into the back of the pack with the rest of them. But that top 4, really the top 5 with Mexico City coming up here in just a little bit, Mike, that's got to be the closest a 5 seed has been to a 1 seed in quite some time in the SFL.
It's definitely the closest I've ever seen it in my time here, Cam. Because it's usually a team that's going to set themselves apart, maybe a team or two. That's what we're kind of used to seeing. But and even if you add in the 3-loss Baltimore, they're right there, and 3-loss Fort Worth. These teams are right there that where they can get into that bye week situation. So going to be a fun last 3 weeks of the season.
And hey, one other quick shout out. Look at Louisiana in there. They're a new team in the top 15. Now they have a common games over Houston. Their strength of victory is horrendous, 164. It's not going to get them anywhere. That means, Mike, they have to win out. They have to. And it's not the easiest of schedules for Louisiana, but who knows? Maybe things are brewing. You didn't want to comment on that game for whatever reason earlier, so we'll just never know. But Louisiana is situated in there. Now, right behind them are the Houston Headhunters, your Houston Headhunters, tonight, taking on their rival, the Mexico City Aztecs, the 21st meeting between these two teams. The last time that they did not meet in the season was season 14, and by the way, Mike Daggs with the assist. Vancouver has not missed the playoffs since season 13. But we're going to get to Ron Haynes' Haynes Vision to help us break down this matchup coming up. It is an exciting one. Houston and Mexico City. We start with the Headhunters, and we start with a polarizing figure, O.J. Bruin, who has not had an easy season by any stretch. He has to find some composure and some poise tonight in what's going to be a raucous Estadio Matt Wilson.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Cam. He really is the man that makes this team go, and we are really dependent on him to come up with plays and not turn the ball over in the hopes that we're going to win this game tonight.
Look at you getting a picture-in-picture on all your – look at dual threat. Ron Haynes is kissing some boutte there with that highlight. That's great.
Did you see that kick return stat, Cam?
I did. I've forgotten about it already, but I certainly did.
I mean, that means 25% of the time, 20% of the time when I touch the ball in the kick return, I'm probably going to score.
And every dog has his day. Josh Slapp, there's his number, 768 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's ridiculous. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball. Probably the most underrated part of this Headhunters team, that defensive front led by Denzel Maverick.
Denzel Maverick, he's been a beast all season long on that defensive line, Cam. 11 tackles, 3 assists, 7 tackles for loss. He's really been the guy that's really stabilized that defensive line this season.
John Barnhart got a key interception in his win over Indianapolis. You're about to see it. It was his first of the season, and I know y'all have high hopes for this guy, and he was a big acquisition when Sioux Falls folded. Has been a great addition.
A big acquisition for us, Cam, and he came through with a huge interception. The turnover margin has been kind of skewed on one side of the ball, and there was a huge interception at that particular time.
Jason Peace leads that linebacking core, 18 tackles for losses, 2 picks. He really can do it all, and he is obviously a big leader in Houston. Sonny J, Mike, this dude is perfect. What more can you ask from him? Along of 51 yards, he's made everything he's kicked.
Sonny J has been a huge weapon for the Headhunters, season in, season out. Great locker room guy, a headhunter for life, if you ask him, and he's been huge in big situations, coming up with huge kicks.
All right, let's move to the Mexico City Aztecs as things wind down and we get ready for kickoff. The Aztecs are having a season to remember. Jordan Sipe, the numbers don't jump off the page, but other than a couple of bad games, it seems like his bad games come in chunks, Mike, where he has a really bad game every now and again, but otherwise he's been fantastic.
He's been solid all season long for Mexico City, Cam, and he's a huge reason why they are in the position that they are in right now. Makes very few mistakes as we see him hitting Jason Bartlett with a huge slant pattern touchdown right there.
You know, Barley's a dual threat, too. He scored a couple of touchdowns on onside kick returns. Noe Terrazas is a big target for Mexico City. The team in the receiving core can be kind of more on the small side, Mike, but not Noe.
Yeah, you mentioned former Sioux Falls players coming over to different teams, and Noe Terrazas has made a huge difference going down to Mexico City.
Mexico City has certainly taken advantage of previous team's demise is Ray Bentley, the Hall of Famer. Not much more has to be said about this guy. He's inching his way into the top 5 of rushing yards per game this season.
What more can you say about Ray Bentley? He's been a solid performer throughout his career, as you mentioned, the Hall of Famer. You never expect anything less than a solid performance from Ray Bentley.
John Fowler, this dude finds the football. Look at this play. A forced fumble, and it pops right into John Fowler's hands. There's another great look at it from Haynes' vision, but Fowler is a menace, nearly 70 tackles, 16 of those for a loss. But, we can't mention a Mexico City highlight without talking about the boy, the kid, the young stallion, Jeffrey Daggs, who just does everything for this secondary.
Yeah, Jeffrey Daggs, he means everything to this Mexico City defense. As you see him coming up there making a huge stop at that particular time in the game, it was a big play for Mexico City.
Up front, Dan Tritz gets a lot of love for this team, but Evan Meurer is also doing his part. He's got 3 sacks this season, and he roughed up Queen City last week.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Dan Tritz, he's a huge part of that defensive line, but you also need some help. You need some support, and it's coming through the big sack right there from Evan Meurer to really solidify the Mexico City defensive line.
Well, the kickoff is coming up next. That was a look at Houston and Mexico City. Thanks to Ron Haynes every week for providing us those incredible, incredible highlights. That is not easy work, and Ron does a fantastic job. We've got a couple minutes left. Mike, your spectaculars from Week 12. Who or what caught your attention?
It was really a couple of spectaculars. Well, a couple of things that caught my only one spectacular. Obviously, we mentioned Connor Weston earlier in the broadcast, 170 yards receiving. He just continues to be a beast this entire season. You can't overlook him. Seems like every week he's coming up with huge plays. Marcus Dunhill had a big game this week with 285 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns on 60% passing percentage. But Riley Quintero is a spectacular this week, Cam. 163 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's a big reason why the Carolina Skyhawks are where they are and why they got this big win this week. So Riley Quintero is the spectacular performance of the week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and he really did kind of stand out on his own this week. Was just really sensational as Carolina's ascendance continues. I don't even know if I have to ask you who you're picking tonight, but I'm sure you're riding with your headhunters here. Anytime Houston and Mexico City play, it's anybody's game.
You know, I always say I'm going to keep it 100 with the people, right? That's what I try.
Guess.
That's what I try to keep it 100 with. That's what I tell them.
Okay.
But and I said I made my last heart pick a couple of weeks ago, and Jack's data says that Mexico City is a 9.5 point favorite.
They also said that Motor City was a 10.5 point dog, and they won that game. So
that means sometimes they're wrong. So that they have their wrong pick of the week. And with MSG, well, let's get this straight. I want Houston to win, obviously. But will I go with my head and not my heart? No chance. I'm not going with my head. I'm going with my heart. We're going to beat Mexico City. And can I make a bet with Mike Daggs if we win that he has to show his gorgeous legs on the next Friday broadcast or something?
You want him showing his legs on the Friday broadcast? You don't have to look at that for half an hour, right? So does everybody else.
No, just flash him. No, they don't have to be out the whole thing.
That's up to him. I'm certainly not going to get involved with anything like that. He got served a bomb pop on this Friday show, so things are getting a little out of hand over there on Friday nights. Tune in. Friday nights are a lot of fun with Mike and Gerald. But all right, Mike, I thought you were going to do it. I thought maybe you were going to pick against Houston because you have a below 500 pick record, so maybe some reverse psychology. But no, okay, you're right.
Couldn't do it.
All right. Houston and Mexico City coming up next. Our Monday Night Crew is here. Charles Doherty will join me. Mike St. Green, thanks as always. What a fun show. We're really getting into a rhythm here as the season winds down.
Yeah, it's been great, Cam, and you and Charles have a great call. We'll see you next week.
All right, go put those boxing gloves to use. We'll see you for kickoff. Mexico City and Houston coming up next on SFL YouTube.